Hello and welcome to House of Nunu Video Vlogging. I'm Kanu Jacobson and I'm your host. Today I'll be talking to Melissa and we're talking about overcoming adversity. So Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kanu.
You're very welcome. So I'm wondering if you can share with the audience. I know you shared with me that in the last couple of years there were some things that happened in your personal life, and I'm wondering if you can share what happened and how did you maintain positivity in the face of adversity.
Absolutely, I'm honored to do that. Before I go to what's happened in the last couple of years, I'm going to pull back just a little bit and talk about when I was about 35, a mom of 2 young children, no energy, very low self-esteem, feeling like I had really lost myself. I changed things around and decided to embark on a life of health and wellness, and I started running. Hence why we know each other.
Yes, we love running.
And our running community. And I found myself through running. And as a result of that, I dropped about 45 pounds. And I found out that it was more than the running that identified me. It encouraged me to not only live a healthier lifestyle, but also to pursue things that mattered and to recognize I was in a marriage at the time that didn't serve me. And I was very unhappy. So when I was in my mid-30s, I left my marriage and set out on my own and thought that initially I could do it, that I was empowered to create a new life for my children and myself, and I had a personal business, a consulting practice, but then left because I started to fear, and fear is a common thread in my story, that I wouldn't be able to sustain us, that I couldn't continue to manage to do independent consulting and make money to take care of my family. So I went to work for an agency, and the reason I was there is because I was rapidly losing confidence in my skills to do things myself. And when we're vulnerable, I believe that sometimes we attract people who feed off of our vulnerabilities.
We so do.
And I was looking for easy answers. Instead of handling things as they came, I was very interested in people who could potentially give me the things that I thought I wanted and needed, and take the burden of me having to do that all myself. Well, when you do that and you allow somebody else to manage your life for you, you lose yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's where this story starts. So approximately almost 5.5 years ago, I embarked on a professional and personal relationship with someone I had been working with at the agency. And he convinced me that it was to our benefit to start a company. And of course I thought with him leading it that we would be in good shape and that things would go well. And I recognized over a number of years that he was hiding things from me, taking money that wasn't his, had some other things going on, and was abusive. Not physically, but emotionally. And I had basically started to doubt every decision I made, and I was living a life full of fear. And I was very unhappy. My children weren't happy. I was very upset with myself for having made bad decisions. And then, of course, I started beating myself up for making those decisions. But things were getting better, and things were intensifying. And I realized one night, very radically, that the only way that I would find myself out of that bad situation was by replacing fear with faith.
I like that.
And believing in myself and remembering that I did it before, that I had what I needed inside of me to be able to chart a new course for myself and my children, that I had the capacity to succeed. And I had lost that. And so one of the things I realized was that I was waiting for some perfect time to make a decision, like some kind of a sign, or that I would hit my bottom. Well, I wasn't hitting the bottom. And I finally one day just said enough is enough, and I took a leap, and I realized that I had to just deal with life as it came, but not be afraid of it. And don't be afraid of what would happen, because I knew I was losing my income. I was losing what I had built in a business with him. I knew that I was also going to be solo in that pursuit. What's next?
Yeah.
But I needed to take that back, and I
Yeah.
had given it away. And I don't blame anybody now that, you know, that's what happened. It was the past.
Yeah.
So I felt for a number of months that I was just falling, free falling. But I had, but with every day, I felt a greater sense of peace, and I knew that I was in charge again of myself. And so, even though I didn't know what would happen, I felt an increasing level of confidence in my decisions. Unfortunately, the job situation did not immediately find its way to me, and so for many months, almost half a year, I was unemployed, not with benefits, because of course I worked for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fortunately, by then I actually had a partner in my life who was really helping make sure that we could get by, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I also realized I still needed to do this all by myself. I needed to take care of things. So at that same time, I was trying to attempt to look for work. I was being rejected, and it was mainly because the market was so saturated and the type of work that I do was so unique.
Yeah.
And so it meant long cycles, very long cycles to find work.
Absolutely.
And I eventually found a job. They wanted me for contract with the intent to hire, but after half a year, they decided that they couldn't make it a permanent position, so I was unemployed again. So that was very hard, but I had to handle it gracefully and say, well, I had good experience. I learned a lot during the course of that job, and now I'm back at it.
Yeah.
Another 8 months passes, and
You're looking for a job in those
every single day. And that's really hard because, you know, bills are bills, and, you know, I couldn't get assistance, and it was very frustrating, and I was very scared.
Yeah.
But during that time period, I just believed that every day I needed to wake up and go at it, and don't worry about rejection. Think about the opportunity, because at some point, in some way, someone, the right employer, was going to find me, and they were going to take me for who I am, for my authentic self, and I won't have to compromise myself, because that'll be the right decision. But I got very, very close several times to not being able to pay my mortgage, very close to not knowing what to do about food. I knew there were options if I needed them, but I was scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I think that I just had to keep reminding myself every single day I would be okay. My children would be okay. My heart was in a good place, and I was again in charge of this. It wasn't like I was letting life happen to me.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I started, but I will say that even at the conclusion of this, the happy ending is I got a great job, actually 2 jobs.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really awesome. That's
Unbelievable. And it took a long time, but I feel like I'm doing my heart's passion, and I'm working for a great employer, and I'm 2 employers, and I'm challenged adequately and actually extremely busy, but I'm grateful. And so things happen to people, and we definitely at times allow other people to control our lives, and when we can take it back, and even if it takes a while to do so, it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, and I'm sure, you know, the audience, there's a lot of people that are going through the same thing where, you know, you lose your job and you go in with that desperate, I need to have a job, and rightfully so, because people have mortgages, car payments, and etc. But with what you said, which I thought was very important, is that you were looking for the right job for you.
Yeah.
And even though you got close to not having that money to pay your mortgage. Because I feel like, you know, that energy flows where attention goes.
Yes, and do that
That's exactly
for sure.
what that is. And now look at you. You have the job that you love
Mhm.
and the 2 employers that you enjoy working with.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So, yeah, so I wondered, you mentioned that, during that transition or
Uh-huh.
that phase, you slipped and you lost faith.
Yep.
So how did you recover from that? I know you shared with me a story about you and your daughter in the car, and I thought that would be powerful
Yeah.
to share with
Yeah.
me.
No, that's a very good one. I was very angry when I finally jumped and decided to make a go of it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And while I may have felt this surge of confidence in my decision making, I was still holding on to so much anger for the victimization.
Mm-hmm.
And, how dare he steal from me? How dare he take from me?
Mhm.
And here I'm still struggling to figure out how to put food on the table, and yet he took my credit cards and bought things with them, and I wanted my money back. And I was so angry. And then every time I would try to reach out to him and say, you need to give me my money, you did this to me, it was thousands of dollars, I got a lot of rage, a lot of threats back. And I finally, one day, I realized that when I'm holding on to anger and being a victim, that I cannot have the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I was on my way to pick my daughter up from school, and I started to think about what it meant when we're holding on to so much anger and rage and
yeah.
victimization, and
Yeah.
and what happens when we're in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was impeding me from continuing my path forward in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So when my daughter gets in the car, I look around our cluttered van and I see a lot of different things. I mean, our van's just completely covered in stuff. When I had her pick the mug up, I said, that's anger. The mug
Oh.
represents anger.
Nice.
Pick up the pen or pencil. That represents sadness.
Mm.
Pick up all these other things. And I said, all those, that represents fear. So with each item that she picked up in her hands, I told her what that item represents, something negative.
Mm-hmm.
Now I asked her to pick up one more thing. I think it was a set of keys. And she said, Mama, I can't pick up anything
Her
more.
hands are full.
And I
she
said,
doesn't
why?
Yeah.
She said, my hands are full. Because I said, well, if you don't pick up those keys, those keys represent joy. I said, I want you to
Wow.
know that today your mom learned something. It's not
Mhm.
always us teaching our children things.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I did have something that I felt was very much worth sharing with her.
Mhm.
And that is when we pick up being a victim, and we pick up being angry, and we pick up fear, and we pick up sadness,
Mm-hmm.
and we hold those things so close to us that when happiness and joy and good fortune come our way, we don't have any available arms. So we have to open ourselves
Oh.
back up, release these things, and allow things to happen to us. And it was just so cathartic for me. It was like I finally realized that the only way I was going to make any movement in a forward way
Mm-hmm.
was by letting go of all of those things that hurt me in my past and embrace the great good fortune, the opportunity. And you can't do it when you're all holding things up. You have to have your arms wide open.
You need to free up your
You
hands.
do. You need to free it up. And it was in that I finally really accepted that I needed to let this go, and I needed to only think about the things, more of what I want in my life, not the things I don't want. So, it's hard though in practice. The exercise of replacing fear with faith is something that I slipped many times.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many a morning I woke up and I would put my feet on the floor and just say, thank you for today. I didn't know what the day held, but I was awake and alive, and I was warm, and I wasn't hungry, and I looked at and my children were sleeping safely in their rooms, and I started to realize that that's what it's about.
So thanks, Melissa, for sharing all that with me and the audience. So I'm wondering, now that you reflect on your experiences, what do you believe is the greatest lessons learned?
Well, I've mentioned it many times, but I'll just say it simply. Replace fear with faith. I think that is really important. That who do you want driving the car, so to speak? Fear will run you into the wall.
Absolutely.
Faith will take you to the places you want to go.
Oh, I love it.
I would say that the second one is embrace your past, and don't be ashamed of making bad choices. It's okay. My mom told me not too long ago that our lives are a beautiful tapestry, and they're woven of our greatest successes and many of our worst failures. And if we look at ourselves as a whole, we should be proud of who we are in the good and the bad and the not and the really ugly. And so not being ashamed has allowed me to continue to grow in my belief in myself and the person that I am. I would say the third one is, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. As a runner, I know that when I'm exerting myself hard, I'm growing, my performance is improving, I'm getting faster, or I'm able to run longer, or if the weather conditions are bad, I'm strengthened as a result of those activities. And in work, if I am challenged, I am forced to live in a state of discomfort. And I have finally figured out that I am comfortable living in discomfort, and that it helps me to continue to grow and not stall. Life is interesting like that, that if we get too comfortable with the way that things are, there may be a very good chance that it's time for us to make a change.
Absolutely.
So those are the three things that I think have become the biggest lessons I've learned over the course of the last couple of years.
So again, thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Connie. Can I
So
hug you? I'm a hugger.
absolutely, I love it. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, dear friend. I really appreciate you having
Yeah,
me.
thank you. So feel free to reach out to Melissa, ask her any questions. I'll forward the messages to her. And so thank you.